I'm looking forward to this episode, Thorne, because you're going to be talking about a lot of things that I know very little about, specifically your dual setup that you have. So I'm really excited to learn more about the dual setup and exactly why you have a dual setup, how it works, like what are the benefits, what are some of the downsides of it.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a good learning experience
sure.
for Brett and me.
Come to the dark side. Get your dual setups. I've been helping a lot of people do it. I've probably helped now 7 people separately in the last year, help them set up their dual setups, just because I've gone through the trials and tribulations of buying the wrong things and all the things. So
it's something I've thought about because, to increase my integration time, since it's so important for me with my light pollution.
Brett, this is something that could benefit you on the roof.
It could. I could double the amount of data I'm capturing.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a light enough scope, you can, and you got the right adapters, you can do that. I mean, it's really easy to do. The only problem is you're literally doubling. You have to have another telescope, another camera, and filters. Like when I recently upgraded my cameras, I switched last February, a year ago, February, I switched to the QHY 268, went from the 183. But I had to buy 2 of those. So 2 cameras.
The cost really adds up.
I thought about doing full frame, but then I was like, but I have 8-inch RASAs and they don't recommend full frame because you're going to crop a lot of that usable sensor data just because it's not a large enough opening. You have to use like a 11-inch RASA per se to use full frame.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha. And is there, so how?
Well, before we get too much into the detail of that, Thorne, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Should we do that? Yeah, let's start off with that.
Yes.
Absolutely. So my name is Thorne. I'm an astrophotographer and recent U.S. ambassador for Starpoint Australis. You can see most of my astrophotography and deep sky work, Ransom Observatory at Instagram. And a big nerd.
I think you're in good company with the nerd aspect of it.
We're all nerds. So,
we're all nerds. Who was I saying? I said to somebody the other day, I was messaging them on Instagram, and I said in high school, we would definitely be now the big time nerds, which I actually take great pride in now.
Yeah.
Well, I was a nerd in high school. I was in the marching band, the symphonic band. I was the mascot for my high school. So I was doing it all.
I was also the mascot for my high school. Yeah.
And I was in symphonic band and marching band.
Look at that. See?
Yeah, look at this. Yeah.
See, I told you, Thorne, you're amongst nerds.
So I played the alto saxophone and then I played the tenor saxophone in symphonic band.
I played alto saxophone. Yep.
So marching band, heel to toe walking, really great for nothing else but just marching in the field.
Do you march around with your dual setup?
Well, actually, when I'm walking really slowly and I don't want to throw out my back, I'm like really, I am making sure I have full contact to the ground.
So Thorne, that's actually before you introduce yourself, that was actually my next question is, what is the weight like for that type of setup? Is it really heavy?
Yeah. So I recently had to is a strong word. I recently revamped it, redid it, wanted to clean things up. So I had a chance to weigh each part and put it together. My setup is currently 238 pounds.
Holy moly.
So when you say portable setup, it's portable, but it breaks down into like 6 boxes that I can bring apart. So I've really worked on quick setups and boxes. So it's like everything's already wired. That's what I recently redid. So you guys know this. Every time you're putting it in a USB cable, everything's flopping around. Like it could break, pinch. Those USB cables don't really last a long time. So I'm trying to make it so they have a little movement. And so it takes me maybe 40 minutes to set up the scope and get it balanced. But that's not polar aligning. That's a whole different, I don't even count. I don't time that because it takes a long time.
Yes. How does that work with polar aligning? So you're polar aligning both.
So
how does that work?
So I can kind of describe the dual setup. So the way my dual telescope setup is done is that it's essentially a one telescope setup with a really big passive friend on it. Okay. You normally have how you have your normal telescope setup. One telescope is controlling the mount. It's connected to the guider. Everything's there. The second telescope is a passive player. So I have 2 instances of Nina and I use a plugin called Sync Dither. And so they're both imaging and it's a sequence, but when it's going to dither, it waits for the other one to be done imaging, then it'll move the telescope and repeat. So mine just keeps going. I know some people image based off of counts of images. I just do unlimited until I run out of time. So, starting at sunset, everything's getting set up and automatically adjusting and focusing. But the second telescope is this. What I was talking about the bigger pieces is that when you have 2 of them, you can't you can't make them perfectly parallel and expect them to be exactly focused on the same target. I thought that would be like that. I thought, oh, you can get a dual saddle, and they sell the dual saddles that are that way, that are just parallel to each other, but they're never going to get the second one to be exactly centered. And the goal is to have them exactly centered on the same target, because I use it for dual imaging one target. You could probably do it differently or do wide field, but I have 2 different cameras and 2 different types of stuff. So I try to dual set up on one target for more time. That's really my biggest challenge is I never have enough time, so I want to do more time. So I have a secondary adjuster, a cool $600 secondary adjuster plate that allows me to alt-az adjust the secondary camera and to be exactly centered on the other piece. And I have to make fine adjustments every single time I take it apart and set it up, but it's pretty close each time. So, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And your focal length, you're
400.
pretty zoomed in, right?
Well, I have 400, so it's not too
okay.
bad. So I have 8-inch RASAs, are what, a 400 focal length. I'm using an APC sensor, APC, ASPC, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not full frame, but
Okay.
it's better than the inch sensor that I had before, which was fine. But 3.76 pixel size, it's great. It has a lot more depth. I was running into issues with my smaller, earlier cameras that I didn't have enough full well depth. And they talk about full well depth is basically just how much photons your sensor can collect before it becomes solid white. And I would do that a lot with my f2. At f2 RASA, you blow out your stars really quickly. And that was always having bloated stars. And for years, I was accepting it like, I like bloated stars. It's fine. But now that I'm at a point where I don't have to have them, I'm like, I'm glad that I don't have them anymore. So.
Yeah, the stuff you're producing is pretty good. It's great, honestly.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It's great. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's amazing.
Yeah, get it right, please. I mean,
yeah.
I expect only compliments.
What galaxy you just post? You just posted a galaxy.
Pinwheel Galaxy M101.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, it looks great.
It's fun because that's when I first started out in this. I'm jumping around, but my first telescope was an 8-inch SE, fork mount Celestron 8-inch SCT, and it was f10. And I was the DSLR, and I tried to shoot 101 back then, doing a 5-minute exposure. Didn't even know about guiding back then. So it's nice to revisit that target. I also went after that target in 2024, and that's when they had a supernova explosion happen on M101, and I didn't get to go after it, and I was really upset. My buddy did next to me at one of the star parties. I'm like, oh, it looks great, but I decided to go after a faint target like I usually do, because that's how I roll. I'm in my dark phase. I'm in my emo phase. So I like all my dark targets and faint stuff. Because when I go on a dark site, like, M101, you can get those from the city, but you want to go after things that don't even exist outside of the city. Like you want like magnitude, I don't know. It's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the benefit of going to one of those dark skies.
Yes.
So it's why not go for that type of target if you're going to be in a Bortle 1 or 2? Like, why not?
Because I have access to a Bortle 4, so I can go out to like semi-bright targets locally, like an hour, minutes. But if I'm going to go out to a Bortle 2 or 3, I'm going to try to challenge my RASAs.
Yeah. And I haven't figured out in my Bortle 9 skies, I haven't figured out what my limit is with faint objects. I at least know that I've tried the Polaris IFN to the north. I have not successfully gotten it yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if like maybe this summer with my newest rig if I can, but I feel like that's kind of my barometer for like how faint can I see.
And that's tough, right? So the IFN integrated flex nebulas are very faint. They're just reflecting all the starlight around, so they are not actually emitting light. They're just reflecting light or blocking light, so you can see them, and they are very faint. The problem with I live in a Bortle 9 as well. It says 8-9, but I'm like, come on, it's 9. It's challenging to go after those kind of targets. I used to have a rooftop that I would be able to set up on and test things out. And when you use Nina and other softwares, you can give your equipments, your telescope, all that stuff, and it'll tell you your optimal exposure. It would tell me between 1 and 2 seconds. And when you want to have 10,000 pictures, I did that once, and it took my little laptop, which rest in peace. It took 3 days to try to stack it, and it was just like really not great. You can do that. That's like they call that lucky imaging, where you just like take really fast exposures.
Okay.
But when I'm shooting at f2 at Bortle 4, I'm doing 30 seconds, 45 seconds. That's the most I can do. But when I'm at a Bortle 2, I can do on my one-shot color 90 seconds is the most before it starts to blow out stuff. they're
Okay.
fast, right? So I'm not doing 10-minute exposures. I'm doing 5 to 7-minute exposures on my mono setup though, like with HA or O3 or oxygen 3. I'm able to do much longer exposures because it's narrowband. I can do
Oh,
like
okay.
5-minute
That is a distinction that I was about to ask about because yeah, so I with like my broadband filter, my L Pro, I do 180 seconds.
Yeah.
But then with my L Extreme, I'm doing 300 seconds, and so those have been like my standard like time that I've been doing in Bortle
What,
9 with
what's
those
your focal
filters.
length of your
It
telescope?
is
Is
let's
it
see,
f5 or f7?
it's F 6.4. So actually, yeah, not too fast. Yeah. But so that I was curious when you're saying like 60 seconds, 90 seconds, that is that without any filters?
So the one-shot color camera. So my two setups are I have a QHY 268C color and then a mono, and
Okay.
and I have beta filter drawers that since I have the RASAs and their front camera mounts, that you can actually not put a filter wheel on it. There are some companies that are developing some device that allows you to do that, but right now I don't have this. So I just have the filter drawers. So my one-shot color, the only filter I use on it is a UV luminance or UVR IR filter. So that just allows me to cut out the bloat of stars because the RASA does have the spectrum a little bit into the IR. So it does, if you don't have that cut filter on it, and my cameras don't have it, so you need that. But on the mono, I do the same UVL filter for luminance, essentially, UVIR for luminance. And then I have an O3 and a HA. I haven't bought the sodium yet. And those filters are the F2 variants from Beta that are specifically meant for the faster scopes. And due to tariffs, they've become a lot more expensive. So I'm not be buying any new ones anytime soon.
Yeah, everything's been more expensive.
Plus, they're expensive and very delicate and make me nervous every time. It's like literally tweezers to slide them in and out. Yeah, I'll have to send you some information on the Beta. Not a sponsor of theirs, but the Beta filter drawers, like tweezers, pull them out in front of them. It's interesting. It's nice.
You know, Thorne, you are clearly like an expert in all this because some of even the things that you're saying are like going over my head, and I'm
Oh,
kind
what
of
are they?
still a novice to this.
Tell me what those are. I mean, I'm happy to explain. I have that in my job all the time where I say like acronyms for things, and they're like, "What do you mean by that?" I'm like, well, "Let me explain."
No. I'm just saying, like, you are clearly an expert in this field, and I understand why this company, the company that manufactures the tents for the telescopes, I understand why they picked you as the U.S. ambassador because you know what the hell you're talking about when it comes to this hobby. Clearly,
I appreciate that. I do a lot of talking offline. I'm not much on the camera. My goal for 2026 is to be a little bit more present on camera and doing stuff. I think it's kind of a fun thing and a great way to do outreach. I'm usually behind the camera kind of guy, but I talk and help a lot of people. One of my favorite things to do is, I do a lot of outreach. And that's kind of how I got connected with them. And I can maybe talk about how I got connected with Starpoint Australis.
Yeah, please go for it.
Yeah.
Explain what they are too. What
Yes.
exactly is the product?
So they are a company that does a lot of things. So Starpoint Australis is from Perth, Australia, Western Australia. They do focusers. They do filter wheel that they're working on. Recently, they just released experiences where like you would come down from wherever you are in the world and they would take you out into the bush or whatever they call it. And they have telescopes and everything for you to set up there. So you can do like a week-long star party in dark skies. Now, they make fun of our dark skies. They're like, oh, Bortle 2, Bortle 3. They literally came with shirts that said, "How dark is your sky?" It's like, it's kind of funny.
This sounds like the perfect like trip. This sounds like the
Oh,
perfect
yeah.
astro trip.
I'm going to get myself there for sure. We've already talked about when I'm going to go down there and go meet them and meet up with them and have that experience and see the Southern Hemisphere, all their targets. It's funny. Like we talk about their targets and I was posting about M101 and they're like, I'm not really familiar with that one. I don't really, because they don't get to see that one as much. Like it's not in their field of view. And we were talking about targets that I don't get to see, like the Liberty and Carina. But the Korean one, I really want to
Oh,
image.
yeah. That's what my partner wants me to get Carina, and I keep telling him like, no, it's the Southern Hemisphere.
Well,
But
you
yeah.
might be able to get it if you go to the southernmost star party or a winter star party in Florida, which I'm going
Okay.
to in February next year. I've already planned out that I'm going to take the auto train down there and it's going to go see that. But Starpoint Australis, the reason I got connected with them is their portable observatories. So they made it 4 years ago, started releasing it. They've been at NEAF. This is their third year at NEAF, I believe. And they're just really great. I don't know. I just hit it off with Brendan and Jess, the co-owners and creators, husband and wife. Great people. I just had a call with them yesterday talking about stuff. I'm going to be helping them with some testing of equipment coming up soon. There's a Newtonian in my future that we're going to be testing out some stuff in. I'm having to figure out how that's going to fit in my car. This last year, every star party I took it to, I went around people complaining about wind and like their neighbors' laptop screens and blah. And I'm just sitting there, sitting pretty, going, "Oh yeah, it's terrible. This wind is awful." And I'm like, I've not lost a single sub due to wind. I've only lost
That's
because I bumped it
amazing.
when I'm walking around it. So like it's been pretty great.
That
That's
makes, because
amazing.
it gets so windy on my roof, and so that does make me think,
Well, you
maybe.
are
Yeah,
in
please
the windy
mention.
city.
Well,
Well,
yeah, yes. Well, and there's ways to do that because like you have to anchor it down like it's a tent, but you could put sandbags in the side of it. And
yeah,
it's one piece, right? So there's one piece plus there's some Velcro for like attaching on like a windshield, but it's pretty cool. I was actually someone just messaged me on their on Instagram. Well, actually they made a comment on my Instagram about there are not a lot of companies that make them and they want to maybe take that and cut a hole out and make a fire pit out of it. I'm like, well, I don't recommend putting a fire in the middle of the thing.
yeah.
So
Don't know how flammable it is.
I'm gonna mess with them later today and be like, I mean, that's great, but I don't recommend a open flame inside this
Hmm.
Yeah.
plastic thing.
But that would be really beneficial for something like me too, because I really like to set up at my parents because my parents are in like a Bortle 4 area. And so I like to set up there, but the problem is it's open fields. So the wind just whips across. I mean, we couldn't keep a pool cover on our above ground pool at all because the wind would just rip it to
Right.
shreds, especially in the wintertime with the
Yeah.
wind coming out of the northwest. So that would be really beneficial
Yeah.
for people
I
who
mean,
live in open fields like that who are constantly getting wind.
yes. I mean, it's like, well, the first time you set up takes a little bit, but I'm at it to the point where I can do it in 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. It's one piece, it's 4 tent poles, and then you Velcro on the cowl, which is basically the windshield that you can adjust. And then it's a ground mat that you put down first. But the bottom of the tent is actually attached. It's a PVC canvas. So it's a really thick base cabinet. And my anecdotal joke about it is the first time I bought the tent, I went to, actually it was February of last year, went to Spruce Knob Mountain, West Virginia, wanted to start setting it up. And of course, mountain life, it just started to rain for 20 minutes while I was setting it up for the first time. I did not prepare. I didn't watch the video. Now, there's handouts and stuff for it. But so I'm starting to set it up and it's starting to rain and it filled up with some water inside of it. Didn't drain. I had to like literally dry it out because the water doesn't go in and out from the bottom of it. Now, the bottom of it's a lot thicker. The rest of it's lighter, but it's black on the interior for light and you can hold like a bright LED up against the thing. No light goes in and out. So you can be a great neighbor. And if you have a really crappy neighbor next to you with their iPad on bright, and I have friends like that and I love them very much, but you can only tell them so many times, hey, I have this red filter. Anyways, so then you're just fine in there, not blocking their light. And what's great about the tent is if I need to, like, I don't know, the picture I posted of the star trails around it, that's when the hood is extended all the way up, which is nice for me. It's because when I need to change the filters, I need to put a headlamp on. I need to brightly shine into it, pull it out because they're expensive and delicate. So I'm not bothering anybody else by doing that, which is
Yeah,
kind of
it
nice.
makes you a good neighbor. Okay.
Yep. I
Yeah.
try, what is it? Be the neighbor you want to be, or I don't know. It's, I don't
Something
know,
like
Yeah.
that.
something
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
Now, this might be a stupid question, Thorne. I'm known for asking stupid questions.
uh,
Can you sleep in this thing too? Or is
yeah.
it
Well, the one I have, well, big reveal. I have two of them now. I was a generous gift donated, and I can kind of explain that one. So the Phoenix Observatory is the smaller one, and actually I wrote down the dimensions. The footprint of the Phoenix is 8.5 feet. So it's 8.5 feet essentially. But the Octans, which is a bigger one, is 11.5 feet. So the Octans is just a bigger variant of it. Actually, the Octans is the original one. The Phoenix is a smaller version of it. And there's even a cuter, smaller one for like sea stars coming out later this year. They revealed it at NEAF and wanted to like get people's feedback. They were excited. But yeah, I mean, I've laid on there on the side. You just got to be careful of the tripod legs. And also depends on your telescope. My RASAs in there are kind of at the capacity for it to fit in there easily. But then I have a Phoenix, which I'm going to use for the Newtonian and other things.
With the smaller one, I wonder if that, because yeah, I have like an AM3, so maybe that could be a little roof dome
Yeah,
for me.
I'll send it to you later. So when we were set up at NEAF, we had, Starpoint Australis people have like good friends with the people at ZWO and Skywatcher and all those places. So they just set up their own telescopes inside their tents, and they had an AM3 inside the Phoenix. I think I took a picture of it. I'll have to share that with you. But yeah, plenty of room in there with an A3. You could. And it's nice because you have your own like circle of sky, like this beautiful thing. And I've done some time lapses, I think, on my Instagram of just the camera really low. Actually, this one right. Oh, you can't see this. I don't know if you can see this. My little friend. This my DSLR. But just on the ground looking straight up, and you were able to get like just the movement of my telescopes, but then just this Milky Way and everything just moving past us. It was pretty cool to see. So
Okay, nice.
Thorne, can you explain what NEAF is real quick? There's probably some viewers who might not know what that is.
Yeah, so NEAF is the Northeastern Astronomy Forum. I believe it's been going on for almost 100 years. I don't know the exact date. I know so I should know that. But this is my first year going. And that's actually how I got the connection, is really through Starpoint Australis. They invited me to be at their booth and kind of talk through. And they wanted me to be their U.S. ambassador just because, one, I have a lot of experience with this in different kind of conditions than what they have in Australia. I mean, of course, they have regular weather down there, but they don't have sometimes the humidity and wetness and just the humidity weather in mountains like I do. So they wanted me to kind of explain to people like, hey, it's not just for deserts or drier areas. So that was kind of how I got them. And they was like, hey, invited me up, come up there. And it was cool. They got me this like cute welcome basket with Vegemite, which I have yet to try. It's in my cupboard.
Very interested to know how that is.
Yeah. Maybe I'll try it today. Tim Tams, they said be very sparingly. I'm like, okay. But Tim Tams is like basically like our Oreos, where they have millions of variations of it. And I'm a huge fan of Tim Tams now. And I already had big controversy. One day after having the Tim Tams and the U.S. ambassadorship announcement, I posted like, I love my Tam Tams. And I got half these Australian people, it's Tim Tams. I'm like, so sorry. And I had like to do an apology post.
Yeah.
But
One of my sisters actually went to Australia about a year ago, I think, and she brought back Tim Tams, and so I tried those. Really
great.
good.
I'm getting friends. I mean, right now I have my good buddies, Brendan and Jess, Luke, and the whole team in Perth in Western Australia. I got my good friend Stephen Moritz in Adelaide, South Australia. He's actually the one that kind of like leaned me towards the dark side of having double setups. He has 3 RASAs on his mount, and he just finished building his
3.
Yeah. And he just finished building his observatory in his own backyard. He lives in a board of 4. So I'm like, goals.
Wow.
I mean, I have a tent and I can set up where I want to, but and then I got my good friend Mark at Astropunk in Melbourne. Really. So he was in the same field as me. I mean, I think Brett, you might be in the same field as him in architecture. So
yes, I am. Yep.
So he just kind of left the field and now just builds people's permanent observatories in their backyard as a job. I'm like,
okay.
Wow, that's amazing.
That sounds like a dream. Yeah.
I mean, I love my job very much, but
yeah.
that's kind of a cool job to do. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. Earlier, when you said that you say all these acronyms that you realize you have to say, I'm sure that I use the same acronyms as you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm like, I have to explain to the client. I'm like, sorry, I'll just say the full yes all the time.
I always joke, semi-joking, that if there was a way I can make an aspect of this hobby my full-time job, that'd be amazing. So that the fact that that person has done that, where they've made it their full-time career, that's awesome. That's incredible.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He's really well known for astrophone photography. He would, instead of using like DSLRs, he would use like cameras that have like 100 megapixel, and he has pretty impressive images. It's a cool dude. He has a colorful mohawk, and he's a fun guy. So if you ever want to check him out, Astropunk is cool.
Okay.
Cool.
I definitely will.
Yeah.
I actually, it's interesting with my cell phone. Like I don't know, I got the like newest iPhone in the last year, and I was shocked when it was when I was in Palm Springs because like the skies were a little darker, and I did like the 40x zoom on the Orion Nebula. It definitely wasn't a nebula, but like you could see it. Like it was more than just a smudge. Yeah, it was
great.
cool.
So Thorne, the other thing we wanted to talk about today was the star parties, and because you even mentioned on the show here that you are going to Florida in February of next year.
Yeah, 27.
Yeah.
I haven't booked my flights. I haven't booked the trains yet, but I'm planning on doing that. Yes.
Out of everybody I talk to on Instagram through this hobby, I think you are the one who goes to the most star parties.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been a creature of habit. I've been doing the same ones over the last 3 years, but I'm going to start mixing it up this year. So the ones I really go to are Cherry Springs Star Party. That's a really great one in North Central Pennsylvania. I think y'all are talking about going there in September or August or something.
In
August.
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 Yeah,
Okay.
we're going in August.
Well, I would love to join you. I'll be north of you guys, so I'm not going to talk about that. But north, what is it? The Almost Heaven Star Party, which I guess that's in Pennsylvania. Nope, that's in West Virginia, and it's because of the Denver song of John Denver's song of West Virginia Mountain. What is that
Take
song?
me
Take Me Home.
home, country
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I
roads.
recently did a time lapse with it, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, it says Almost Heaven Mountain. I was like, West Virginia. I'm like, that's why they call it Almost Heaven. I don't know why. I was like, I didn't know that. But it's a great group. The company there that's on site is Experienced Learning. There used to be Spruce Knob Mountain Center, but Experienced Learning is a great thing for kids and adults, and they do amazing stuff. But they also host 2 star parties now. Almost Heaven Star Party in August, and then the Night Owl Star Party in May, which I'm going to next month. That one became a thing because they canceled Almost Heaven because of COVID, and then they wanted to have like a smaller version of it in the spring, and then they just kept it, which I've been grateful because it's amazing. And then Black Forest Star Party at Cherry Springs in September. But this year, I'm not going to be going to Almost Heaven. I will actually, because of yesterday, I'm going to be going to Starfest in Canada.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
And I have it on my calendar, and it opens, I think, on Sunday or something like that of next week. It opens up. So I have that on my calendar. I don't know if you guys know, but some of these star parties are really, it's first come, first serve.
Mhm.
Cherry Springs in the past has closed in like 30 to 40 minutes. Like they open it up and they close it. This year, not so much, just because it ended up so late in the game. But I got in for that one too. So
Okay, good. Yeah, we know Matt got in. I was considering it. Yeah, I couldn't think fast enough.
I have a wedding, or else I would go.
well, and the good thing is that park is a public place. So anytime you want to go, except for that weekend with the new moon, because you have to have a ticket there, you could go before. I'm going early or I'm staying later. I have to figure that out, but I'm planning to stay like a week there because it's the summer, right? So as you get closer to the summer, it's shorter nights, and you want to have more time. Winter is great for star parties when you have 9 hours of dark or 8 or 9 hours
Mhm.
of dark at night. So versus the summer where you get like maybe 4 in July. So
Yeah.
So which one's your favorite, Thorne? Do you have a favorite star party?
that is a good question. I mean, I'm going to say, um, Night Owl Star Party is my favorite. It's a small group of people. I've met a lot of cool people. I have good friends. My friend Dave, um, met someone named Lady Jane, Kristen from, she used to be a ranger. She taught me a lot about, oh, those are peeping summer frogs or summer peepers or whatever they're called. I don't know. I didn't learn a lot, but she was very knowledgeable and met some cool people, right? So it's a nicer view. So all my pictures from this recent trip is that same location for that star party. And it's very, I don't know, it's a lot of fun. But I'm hoping that Astrofest will be fun too. So
Do the star parties have any like events going on during them?
some of them do. So
Okay.
Cherry Springs all of them have lectures. Generally, they all
Okay.
have some club that's running it, and they'll bring in guest speakers. I mean, they'll have Nico Carver. They've had Astro
Oh, yeah.
Backyard.
Mhm.
They've had my good friend Roxanne, who does citizen scientist work. So she helps measure through occultation. Occultation is when an asteroid passes through a certain part of a star, they can measure certain parts of it, and they'll have people along the US at different points at the same time measure it, because depending on your perspective, you'll be looking at a different part of the asteroid as it passes the star. So you can get like the shape of it that way,
Oh, wow.
which is kind of interesting because you
Oh wow,
can't
that's
directly
really
image some of those
interesting.
things.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
So it's funny. My introduction to her was when we were out there and we were all like talking about whatever. She's like, "Oh, you guys are. I'm going to be doing some real science. You guys are just taking some pretty pictures." I'm like, "Yes, ma'am, we are. You're doing science and we're just taking pictures." So, but she's cool. She's the one that actually convinced me to go to the Winter Star Party.
Awesome. There is a star week in Badlands National Park.
Hmm.
I actually had an English teacher in grade school, high school. She was my 9th grade English teacher. She must have quit public education. I don't know when this happened, but now she's a park ranger at Badlands National Park. She's a park ranger there. And she followed me on Instagram, on Facebook, and she saw all my astronomy stuff. And she's like, "Oh, Nick, you have to come out to Badlands National Park." I think it's like July 17th or something like that.
Mm.
They have a week-long star party at the park. So I'm not going to be able to go this year, but maybe next year. That's something I would definitely check out.
That's cool.
Going out there.
Well, I don't
Is
have
that
any sub parties planned for July. I will say though, I'm kind of limited on driving because of my equipment. So
oh
Badlands
yeah,
is a pretty
Good
far
point.
drive.
yeah. And
Like
you can't take that on a plane.
I mean, I'm sure there's a way, but I don't think I could afford to do that. And I also
Yeah.
don't trust. I've seen them throw to their bags. They're doing their job, but some delicate equipment like that, no, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
exactly. Yeah,
I mean, I guess I
exactly.
could do a road trip for it, but that's a lot of time. And I've already
Yeah.
drove. I drove from DC to LA 4 times by myself over my lifespan. I don't
Holy
want to do that
moly.
again. Takes like 3 days. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
yeah.
So what are you imaging right now, Thorne, with your dual setup there? What are you
Well,
imaging?
so I just completed M101. I'm right now, as of this evening, going to be planning my targets out. I will say it's a secret, and I'm being commissioned to do this one. I'm just kidding. No, I'm
I was ready to
planning.
be like, you've got to be kidding me.
People just request these, and they just give me all this money. It's crazy. No, I'm planning to go after some targets. So, as a fun tip, when you're going to these star parties, always have 2 or 3 targets. And what I mean by that is have a very bright target that if the weather decides to crap out on you and you just don't have, you have like parts of the night, you want a target that you could have limited amount, like a bright nebula or a bright galaxy, and then you could be happy with at the end of it. Because that's why I do the dual setups, right? So I don't during the week, I can set up once and then it may be another week because this we all been talking about this weather. And we're getting through it together, but this weather's been not great. And it's been recently clear, which has been nice. But leading up the early part of this year and the end of last year has been pretty rough. So I have the dual setup so that I can almost have a finished image by the end of the night. So like the Flaming Star Nebula that I took, that was just one imaging from one session. And I did that for the California Nebula early this year. And what else did I go after? Lowers Nebula. So I try to go after targets that are they're bright enough that one night can take. But when I go to these star parties, I plan to do a really dark nebula that would require 3 days of constant imaging over the summer, maybe 2 nights during the fall or in spring because I have more nights. But you know, and I have the way my telescopes are set up, I can do one shot color and luminance. And then the next night I always have to do one shot color because I don't put filters on it. And the next one could be HA or O3. And I usually split the nights on those. But if it's not going to be a target that has any HA or O3, which a lot of the like bright nebula, what is it, LBNs and dark nebulas, those don't have any HA or O3. So you just need luminance. So I'll just keep going. I try not to change the filters multiple times throughout the night unless there's like a reason to do that. So
When you're dealing with multiple filters, how many calibration frames are you taking? Like, do you have flat frames for each
yeah.
filter?
So
Okay.
yeah. So that's also probably why I don't switch out them as much because I usually do my calibration. I do my flats at the end of the night or early morning if it's a successful night. Um, So one shot color, I can do that once and I don't have to touch that one at all. But with the filters, each one, like the luminance, I do the flats the next morning. And then the same thing for the um, O3 and HA. But for calibration frames, it's weird to say this, but the cameras that I have do not recommend doing bias frames because they don't take fast enough exposures. So just as a recap for calibration frames are multiple things. There's bias frames, which is basically taking the quickest exposure with a cap on your camera can take. And that white noise, that read noise, they want to remove that from the data. And then there's flat frames, which is essentially just trying to get the cone and any kind of like dust motes off of your image. So you get a flatter image, which is helpful. And then there are darks. And darks are pretty easy. Darks are the same temperature and exposure as your light frames. I take those. I actually made a full library of those in advance at the different temperatures that I want to do so that I don't have to do them in the field. There's a lot of people that say you should be doing them at the same time, which I don't disagree. And I don't think you should keep your darks for more than 6 months. You should keep updating them. Cameras are, they change, stuff changes. So you just want to make sure you get the latest and stuff. Oh, and then dark flats, excuse me. That's another one that I haven't done. I don't know if you've heard about dark flats. Dark
Yes.
flats are essentially just darks at the same exposure as whatever your flats were. And
Yeah.
then that can get rid of noise in that as well. So
Yeah. And that was my big change when I switched from a DSLR to my dedicated Astrocam now. Because I don't take bias frames anymore. I just do the flats and dark flats. And then for the dark frames, I need to look into this, but because I know that obviously with the cooling on the camera, you can, make a library of your dark frames. But does it also take into account the thermal noise within your scope?
so yes. So I definitely recommend, I mean, people leave them on their scope, and your rig is set up, right? So you're never taking the camera off, right? It's just fixed right now?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there is an advantage of the thermal noise that's in your telescope train. Interesting enough, if you're doing your exposures like that, your darks, you might find light leaks sometimes in your imaging setup that way.
Yep.
I recommend always taking the camera off and doing them with the cover on it, just because you don't want to introduce any complications with the telescope. You just want the noise
interesting.
flat
Okay.
from the actual camera.
I've never thought of, so I've done dark frames like in the middle of the night or like at dusk, for instance.
That's fine.
Or I'll do in the morning, I'll put a towel over my rig and then a trash bag over the MacGyver stuff that I've talked about, like other stuff. Yeah.
Which is pretty smart, by the way, for the humidity, the thermal change, the moisture sitting. It has a place to go versus your telescope and your lens. So that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Thorne, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
When you're out there in the field at these star parties and there's no service, how are you getting your service?
It's funny you ask. I am not a sponsor nor a big super fan of this, but I need it so I can watch my RuPaul's Drag Race and other important things while I'm out in the field and myself.
Why don't you tell all the astrophotographers what that is?
Starlink, excuse me. But I know how bad it is, and it's funny. I made sure it was not shown in any of my content.
I would have been in the comment. I would have been in the comment sections. Boo!
But in true tongue-in-cheek, being fully self-aware, it's called Dark Sky Destroyer. So,
okay.
I mean, and half the pictures I take, it's just like, are we being invaded by all these satellites? Because it's just it's crazy. But I'm not doing any science, so I can remove those because of softwares that can remove them. I mean, planes go through my images sometimes too, but so many satellites. But I'm not doing science. I will say it does affect science. Any kind of reflection will change the magnitude that you can actually see. So people with the big telescopes that are trying to observe super faint objects, having a satellite going through that does affect their science that's happening.
Isn't that also, okay, one cool thing that I just thought of, if you see a Starlink satellite go through your field of view, is that likely the Starlink satellite that you're connected to?
If it's facing north, because this one always they always have me facing north, so it potentially yes. And the way their orbits are, well, their orbits are everywhere, but they have me facing north, at least in this field. So I think so. I mean, that'd be interesting to see that. Flip them off.
Yes, flip them off as you subscribe to their program and
take my money.
Brett, go ahead. What are you imaging?
So currently I am imaging, I'm getting my last minute HA data on galaxies. Yeah, I'm starting to roll out my galaxy images, processing them right now. But yeah, getting some last minute HA data. Yeah. And then I'm starting on the North America nebula right now. So it's rising at 2 a.m. basically. And so I get a few hours on the galaxies and then switch over to North America. So getting a head start on that.
And honestly, I went back to my roots on how I got the whole hobby started and the reason why is for the galaxies, you need a lot of time on them. And I can't leave my rig outside overnight with the way everything is. So, and especially now it doesn't get dark until after 8 o'clock to be able to start imaging. So the galaxies really aren't a good capture for me with my current setup right now, unless I'm going up to my parents over the weekend, something like that. So I actually tried something new. I attached my 130 to my Sky Watcher, and I was like, let me just see how this works. Let me just see how this works with the planetary camera and the ASI Air and just see how this works. Honestly, it worked amazing. It was great. And if it's clear tonight or if it's clear, it's supposed to definitely be clear tomorrow night. I'm going to do it again and I'm going to see how zoomed in I can get on the moon's surface, maybe get some good shots. I did try Jupiter again, but the transparency was pretty bad. So it's pretty like smudged and such. And I forgot to put a Barlow lens in when I was doing the imaging of Jupiter. You really need to have that Barlow lens in. But this was like getting me back to my roots because I forgot like you even needed a Barlow lens to look at Jupiter and stuff. So it was cool to get back into what got me started in the hobby to begin with. So that's what I'm doing right now.
I've been using that. I don't know if you actually have talked about it yet, but the Atlas software that you released, Brett.
Oh yes,
cool.
yeah.
Oh yes,
Yep.
we got to put our plug in for Atlas.
Oh,
Thank you.
I wasn't paid to do that, by the way, but I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm excited about it. I saw there's a really cool interface. So yeah, I was having fun just because that's really the challenge is like seeing how is it going over your head or where is it stop. So
something that we always talk about, Thorne, on our show is something that's cosmic yet brave. And I know you watch the show, so you kind of get the gist of what we're going for. It can be astro related. It could be everyday related. I know 2 episodes ago now, Brett was going off about music, which something I don't pay attention to. So do you have something that's cosmic yet brave, Thorne?
Yeah. Imagine I'm saying this as Joan Crawford. No white lights. What are white lights doing at my star party when I told you no white lights ever? I hate white lights. So at star parties, this is an education for everybody. You should only be bringing red lights. White lights, if you flash someone's white light or your laptop screen, it could take you 30 to 45 minutes for your eyes to adjust. But if it's a red light, it's like 5-10 minutes. So red lights have a less aggressive lighting of the cones in the back of your eyes. You can adjust quicker. And I think, so my thing is like, I think people using white lights at a star party should be arrested for indecent light exposure. Personally, I spend a lot of time making sure my equipment doesn't have any white lights on it, like leads. I mean, I set it up inside a room. Actually, sometimes I'll set up my observatory tent inside and I'll take long exposures with my digital camera because even a little teeny little light, you don't think it's that bright, little green light, little blue light, it is like a beacon with a long exposure. Yeah, so that's my cosmic yet brave. I think a lot of people agree with me on that, but I'm a very passionate person. I also am very empathetic. So when I come to these star parties, I bring lots of extra red lights. As an example, this gentleman showed up just to show his 3 little daughters, was by himself, and they had like white little flashlights running around. And I just walked up to them and I just handed them 4 extra flashlights that are just red so that they, they're little girls. Like, I want them to have fun, but I don't want everyone else to like ruin their pictures. So
yeah,
you're a lot nicer, Thorne, than I told this story before, how I first got into this hobby. There's a gentleman at an observatory in Hocking Hill State Park in Ohio, and it was open to the public, and he had his beautiful telescope there. Well, somebody had a lantern with white light, and they were like walking through with their lantern, and this guy flipped out. So it sounds like you take care of it in a more polite way, because this guy definitely was not having it. He was like, turn it off, turn it off.
Have I walked up to people and says, hey, here's this blanket to cover your blue and green beacons of light on your little battery? I've done stuff like that. I've talked to people. A good friend of mine like made something and he built this thing and had a little blue LED. And I'm like, hey, sorry. I mean, I have masking tape. I have gaffer tape. Like we can cover that. So people just don't know that. They think, oh, bright lights, it's any light, any little teeny light that's not red. Even red lights can be really bright. Like people with their bright LED headlamp. As advice, I would say, if you have the red headlight, first of all, it should be facing down. Turn it off when you're talking to people because I've talked to people before and I'm like, I can't see you because of the beacon of red light in front of me. I actually have a pair of red headlamps essentially, but they're on for my neck. So they just face down. So it's not facing at people. And then you can also just do red tape over LEDs to make them a little less brighter. If you ever go to Cherry Springs, you will get yelled at for any reason. You can get yelled at for going into your car too much. They're mean and you can get kicked off, which is rightfully so. Like these are the rules. You've all agreed to them. And if you break them, like you can make one mistake, but like whatever. I don't know if the story, maybe you'll talk to Andrew about this, but this past September, he needed to get something out of his car and he's like, all my lights will turn on. And I'm like, I'll help you tape your car up. So we ran out of tape, but we taped all of his lights up and we did a good job. So, but I walked away. I said, good luck. Like, I don't want to be around and be yelled at. It's like, I'm a good friend, but I'm like, let me know. And I'm like hiding behind in my tent and he opened it up and his light inside of his car turned on for like a second and someone yelled at him. So like, it's going to happen. You do your best. You just got to prepare and just be courteous of
Yeah.
others. Because that dark sky, people travel for, I mean, I live in Bortle 8, Bortle 9. We go there for those dark skies. But I got yelled at once for talking too loud with my Boston friend. Some people try to sleep at certain hours. There are quiet hours too. So
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, and that's very educational too, because I've realized that my USB hub that I have on my rig, it has blue lights on it. And so I should put electrical tape over that. Yeah.
Yep. Electrical tape, gaffer tape is better because the problem with electrical tape is it bonds sometimes and it's sticky when you're trying to remove it. But the gaffer tape is pretty good bonding and easy to remove later. So.
Okay. Good to know.
All right, Brett, what about you? I know. Let's see what you got on the docket today.
Yeah, my Cosmic Camp Brave today is astro related. Almost a little philosophical, maybe. And mine is that I appreciate that astronomical data has, to an extent, like a lack of completeness and precision. And what I'm getting at with that is that it's the fact that when we look at like the distances of objects and how they're recorded in databases, there's actually quite a big margin of error for like how far objects are. Especially when you get to like galaxies, because I think the two parameters that are used for distances are parallax, which I think is mainly beneficial for stars, but then redshift for galaxies. And so there's just like a huge margin of error. There's also a lot of missing pieces. And then also kind of tying this back to even just like my M102 branding that I use. I went with M102 because it's considered like the missing Messier object, because it's the one that was, after its observation and after it was published, 2 years later, it was redacted because people thought that it was the observation that was written about it was actually M101. And so it was redacted for a little bit, but now it has an accepted galaxy that has now been assigned to it. But yeah, I just like how it kind of goes to the human element of like science and observation and all of that. And that there's just so much more to learn as well. Like we don't know everything about space. Like we're all continually learning from, the most advanced observatories and research institutions and all the way down to backyard astrophotographers. So yeah, I just find that cool. So Cosmic Yet Brave, that I find the incompleteness or the lack of precision that we see sometimes actually very, very cool. And as someone who's very meticulous also, and someone who like a little bit of a perfectionist, and that gives me anxiety and whatnot, kind of like leaning into that reality, there's some comfort in that.
So many databases. When I look up a distance of an object, I'm like, that's why I always put approximate when I put some of the distance up there, because I'm like, it's how many point what is, it's different. Everything's different.
Yeah, everywhere you look is different.
Yeah, so mine is not astro related. So I just recently, and I put it on my Instagram, I just recently got a thigh tattoo to honor the hobby. It's still not done. I have to go back in the middle of May, end of May, to get it finished, because it was 5.5 hours, and I was like, okay, this is enough. Like, this really is starting to hurt. And he's like, oh, you have another 2 hours yet. I was like, well, not today. Well, I have found out that it is really hard to get 5-inch seam gym shorts. So because I want to show off the tattoo, so all my gym shorts are 7-inch seams. And I went around today. Yeah, I'm going to have to start cutting shorts. I went to Target today. I went to Boscov's. I went to TJ Maxx. I went to Ross. And nowhere that I saw had 5-inch seam gym shorts. So I'm going to have to like just go full blown what I would do when I was growing up out in the farm and cut my gym shorts if I want to show off my tattoo.
Or if you get like a sewing machine.
I could get a sewing machine. I did learn how to sew in home ec class, so maybe I can do that. I highly doubt that I will, but yeah, if you're a clothing manufacturer, let's produce some more 5-inch seamed gym shorts, please. So that's my Cosmic Get Brave. Get to it, folks. So now, Brett, this is when we usually do the Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, this is the shout out to Adam, to my brother, for doing the music for this podcast. The music will be playing in the background, and we are at episode 6, and he still has not noticed. He still has not noticed.
I love that. I love that about siblings.
Yep. And again, we're very supportive of each other, but I love that we're hiding this in the middle of the episode just to see when he'll notice.
Oh yeah.
I
love
highly
it.
doubt he does.
I know, but I love his music. It's great stuff. He recently released some album or a new song.
Yep.
Ocean or something.
Yeah, the Ocean. Yep.
The Ocean. Yeah, it was great.
It was really good. It was a banger. Like, it was really good.
Question for you real quick about that is the theme. Did you did you ask him to do that, or did he make something specifically for you for this?
Yeah, we commissioned him for it, and I'll have to go back in our text messages. We kept like joking around about like what the contract was, what the terms and conditions were. I think he effectively just donated this to us, but yeah, we had some funny back and forth about like if I could even afford him, you know.
No, it's a powerful intro. It's a really great theme song.
Yeah, thanks. Yep.
And speaking of commissions, I want to publicly, Thorne, thank you for what you did for us with the Flaming Star Nebula incorporated into our logo. So that was so nice of you. It was very kind of you. We really appreciate you doing that. As we said to Matt last episode, we found it was just so ironic that Brett and I both just randomly happened to ask you what
no one
you
else
were
asked me, by the
imaging.
way. It was just you two. Like, what are you imaging? And I'm like, and I'm a bad liar. I could have just said collecting more data on something else.
Well, you
like,
told me that you were doing commissioned work
yes.
and it was a secret and you couldn't tell me what it was.
Yeah.
And like my mind went to like, oh my gosh, like he's doing something for National Geographic or something. Like,
I know
that is big.
that's where I went.
I know it was for us two doofuses.
No, it was funny. The reason why I did that, I don't know. I thought you guys are great. Anyone that's speaking and bringing astrophotography, astronomy, science, any kind of stuff together and sharing with people is awesome. I want to like promote that as much as I can. And then I was like, Flaming Star Nebula, Flaming Stars. Obviously, I mean, I know there's more meaning to Flaming Stars, but I just thought that was kind of a fun way to do it. But I was also kind of weirded out by doing it because who am I to tell you this is how your logo should be? So I'm like, here's some fan art, not like your logo should be this. It was, it was
perfect.
No, it's amazing
perfect.
fan art.
Yeah, I had fun. Plus, I've never done that before. I've never done that for somebody else. So like my pictures are either on Instagram or at the end of the year, I make a calendar if I have 12 pictures for family members. That's all I do. I don't even
good
I just make them for family members. It's good, but it also gives you the pressure to make sure you get 12 images by the end of the year, which is actually not very easy to do because it can be a challenging year. And not every image you take is one that you would want to put in a calendar, right? So, you know. We're all very critical of our own work and we have standards, and sometimes some of them don't meet my own standards to put in a book.
That's the perfectionist coming out. Yep. Well, and a little more about the logo for Flaming Stars. I do like, kind of abstract shapes, kind of a Bauhaus style. And so I don't know if you caught on, but the logo actually is based on the Flaming Star Nebula, but then like kind of a yin yang version of it. So it's like two Flaming Star Nebulas.
Oh, trust me. I went through so many iterations where I was like, I mirrored it, flip it. And I was like, well, let me just put one part of it in there versus that. And then I think I told you, Nick, that I was showing the two stars that are bright in the center as you guys as the two stars in the center that I like that little overlap thing. So I don't know. I was having some fun with it. I made so many versions. I'm like, all right, stop making versions. Just send this one. Like,
Yeah, no, it was perfect.
So,
we really appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. No, you guys are doing pretty great stuff. I mean, I consider you guys friends. I love chatting with you both all the time. Love seeing both of the work that you guys are doing, and your excitement for this is just very exciting for me. I mean, that's my biggest thing is outreach. So I do so many outreach events during the year. I try to do more, and you guys are doing this, which reaches other people. You get people interested in it. Really, this reaches people that maybe not even have an interest in astronomy or have knowledge of astronomy or astrophotography, but then this can help them get into that, which is great.
Yeah. And I always joke, Thorne, I always tell Brett we're with the cool kids now because we talk to all you guys all the time. And it's great. I talk to Andrew all the time now. He's building an amazing setup. I'm sure he's been showing it to you too.
Yeah, he's going to start doing. I think he wants to start doing some science.
That's what he told me.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing with it, because even as I was just saying with like that, you have observatories and research institutions doing stuff, but then everyone in their backyard can be
Everyone can.
doing
Oh, yeah.
legitimate science. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone can. I have yet to dabble in that. I just love taking pretty pictures and doing outreach
Yeah.
and getting people to look up. But my telescopes, the RASAs, are wide field, which can be used really great for asteroid tracking. And a lot of companies do that as well. Not beautiful pictures, right? It's just very sensitive. So you could just see these faint little guys moving across the images and stuff. So,
Well, and that's a perfect segue into the next part of our podcast.
oh, yeah.
Brett, what is the closest near Earth object, and is
That
it
should make
going to
me
hit us?
worried.
Yes.
We could have been worried a couple days ago. So
Oh,
yeah, so this near Earth object, closest approach to Earth was on April 24th, so 2 days ago. It's object 2026 HZ4. It came within 29,000 kilometers of Earth.
Wow.
Which is 0.07 lunar distances. So like a tenth
Wow.
of the distance of the moon. And that puts it at, it calls it's within geostationary orbits, which is crazy.
Oh, so it was dipped below some of our satellites.
I think so, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, but now it is farther. 2 days later, now we are, we're in the clear. So now it's 2.4 million kilometers
okay.
away.
It's on its way away. Okay.
Exactly, yeah. And it's about
That was a close one, Thorne. It could have took out one of
farther.
your Starlink satellites. You would have lost
Coulda.
internet.
Hey, listen, I need my full connectivity when I'm out there. Actually, it's great. I can doom scroll while I'm in the woods on a rainy night. Like,
Convenient.
Why not put it to use? So, Thorne, is there anything else before we wrap up the show today that you would like to tell people, share about yourself, anything that you'd like to end on?
All I can say is that if you have the opportunity if you have an interest in astronomy, you want to buy a telescope, astrophotography, find a local astronomy club around you, meet with the people there, see the different telescopes, because you all know this. Not all telescopes do the same thing. Focal length makes a difference, the type of telescope it is for imaging, or if you're doing science, or if you're just visual, I would say do that. Go meet up with them, or ask me, ask one of us. I'm happy to guide people on that stuff. And if you're interested in dual telescopes, I will happily guide you on that rabbit hole of that adventure. I've learned a lot from great people like Astro Backyard, Trevor, Stephen Morris Astrophotography, just their reviews and their skill sets. And they have great YouTube videos online to like how you do everything. That's how I learn. Just go online, ask people. And there's a lot of smart telescopes out there now. There's no excuse for not to getting into this hobby. You spend maybe $400, $500, and if you can use a phone, you can use some of these smart scopes. I know there's some controversy. Some people are purists and say it's not really astrophotography, but in my mind, if you're getting people to look up and be excited about it, it's all good. It's great stuff.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And that's the thing with the smart telescopes too, because they are plug and play even in a city, because I've been using mine and comparing like what I can get with my main rig versus my C-Star. And it is pretty amazing. Like, obviously, I feel like the C-Star is kind of like the cell phone, whereas like the main rig's like the DSLR. So it's like kind of like that difference in quality. But yeah, no, it's a great way to get into that hobby and make the night sky accessible to everyone.
Yeah. And then you were bragging about it with your multi-target thing
Exactly.
video you did. You're like,
and
this view. I'm like, I'm barely doing one.
I know.
Isn't he so annoying, Thorne?
You know what?
I'm an overachiever.
Now I know what you mean. No. Yeah, no, that's the thing about, my buddy of mine has the Origin, which is like this Celestial Rasa 6-inch, does the same thing. And he was just target hopping, and like he did like 6 targets in one night, and they look great. I was like, man, that's nice.
Well, thank you for that, Thorne. And Thorne, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah.
That is unfortunately all the time that we have for today. So thank you for sharing all your insight about your vast knowledge about this hobby. Oh my gosh. I feel like we could do multiple shows with you talking about different things, because I feel like you just have a ton of knowledge about this hobby. So I appreciate you sharing it with us today.
Yeah, I'm happy to come back anytime to talk about anything.
Thank you everyone for watching. We appreciate you tuning in. We are going to have another guest on our next show. Let's just say it's going to be a different view of the night sky.
Yeah, a different hemisphere.
And I won't tell them in advance like Matt did.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.
Yep. Cue the outro from my brother. See you, everyone.